competing with, all the things that happen in a regular person's day-to-day life, that they could say, you know what, I'm not going to that meeting. I have 100 other things that are more important to tend to.
No, that makes sense. And before we transition into like your run into becoming the mayor, what do you think is one thing you guys could have done better during that campaign run in 2020 with Cory Booker, to maybe, I guess, get him to become the representative of the Democratic Party or whatever it may be?
Yeah. So I would say one thing that I would like, if I could go back and do it again, one thing I would love to see is us try to shift the conversation away from who can beat Donald Trump and shift it to who has an inspiring vision for the future of our country. Because one thing that I thought President Obama did very well is he made people feel inspired about the future of our country.
Right.
He gave people a belief and hope that the things will be better.
Yep.
And I think that one mistake that we make, although, I don't want to get too political,
Yeah.
but, one mistake that we make is making it all about Trump. Trump wants it to be all about him. So what we can do is give people an alternative vision that says, okay, well, if you vote for, the opposite person than Donald Trump, here's what you're going to get. And we didn't paint that picture. It was more about, here's why we're better than Trump.
Yeah.
And I understand why we did that in the moment. If I could go back and change it, that's probably what I would change. We need to come up with a more articulate and clear vision that's easy for folks to understand and inspiring, and makes them feel like the future of our country is something worth getting up and voting for.
Sure. So January 9th, I believe it was. You got 6th?
Yep.
January 6th. You got voted into office.
Yep.
What was that feeling like, becoming the first black mayor? You're the youngest mayor as well?
So I'm here to debunk that.
Okay.
I'm not the youngest mayor in Morristown history.
You weren't?
No. So reporters keep writing about it.
Yeah, I was reading up that. That's
yeah,
what it said.
and I keep telling them that that's not true. There was one other mayor that was 9 months younger than me when she was elected, maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay.
But, I want to give her credit. She was a young person that got elected, but I am the youngest actively serving mayor in the state of New Jersey right now.
Okay.
So that's where I think sometimes people get confused. They're like, oh, if he's the youngest actively serving mayor, and I was also the youngest council member ever elected to Morristown. So I wasn't the youngest mayor, but I was elected to council when I was 23.
Okay.
So
Dang, that's super young.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was a crazy run. But that's why people are like, oh, if he was the youngest council member, then he must be the youngest mayor.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is I've been on council for almost 5 years now.
Right.
So I was council member, then I was deputy mayor for 2 years, and then by the time I became mayor, I was a little bit older than when one of the previous mayors became mayor.
Yes. So with that, one being the youngest council member at 23, and then also like being one of the youngest mayors ever elected, and then being currently the youngest one serving, are there a lot of doubts that come with your age?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. People see you and they say, what kind of life experience do you have to be mayor? I was at an event this morning where I was walking around, and I was walking around with another mayor from another town. She introduced herself and then introduced me, and the person was like, oh my God, I thought you were her intern.
Oh shit.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
But what comes with it is, being a young person, we have to prove that, we might not have 30 years experience of running our own business, right? But it's about the experience in our years and what we've done with that. And what I tell folks is, when I worked for U.S. Senator Cory Booker, I worked on his presidential campaign, but then I moved to his Senate office.